Bet you didn't see this one. U.S. federal government. I got a Railroad Commission report. Railroad Commission says it sees zero viable path moving forward for California's 220 mile per hour high-speed rail project going nowhere because it was supposed to be completed in 2020 and not a single line of track has been completed. None. Zero. So the federal government may rescind about $4 billion, which is a drop in the bucket, considering that total cost of this project has gone up from like $30 billion to $128 billion, $100 billion over budget. And there's no guarantee this bad boy's ever going to be built. Let's get into it. Here we go. I love reporting on this topic because it's such a clear-cut issue of a pie in the sky. Let's make this happen. I know we can do it. We can do it for this. And you got a bunch of people who've never built a damn thing in their life. They throw out some numbers and, we're going to need the taxpayers to kind of fund this bad boy. And here we are, $100 billion in cost overruns, and not a damn thing has been finished. I mean, it kind of goes to show, right? Here's a video that about 3 months old. This is the initial investigation into federal government. We're going to need to check into what you got going on with this train to nowhere. Let's take a quick peek. See, these are the end results that we're talking about today, but here's what that investigation looked like.
Federal funding for California's high-speed rail project. That could be next on the chopping block. And today, the U.S. Transportation Secretary asked for a review of that project. ABC 7 News reporter Suzanne Fawn in the newsroom with reaction now. Hi, Suzanne.
So, Larry, the California high-speed rail project has been hit hard by rising cost estimates, delays, and litigation. Now, President Trump and the Transportation Secretary say the project has been seriously mismanaged. Supporters say it's an exciting and ambitious project designed to connect California from San Francisco to Los Angeles. But critics say the project has faced all sorts of construction and funding setbacks.
Where are we today? Well, today, we are severely, no pun intended.
It's like Brad Pitt.
U.S. Transportation
Sean Duffy.
Sean Duffy wants a compliance review of California's high-speed rail project.
This is going to help determine whether billions of dollars in taxpayer money should remain committed to California's high-speed rail.
Duffy says the Federal Railroad Administration's review will focus on the $4 billion the Biden administration allocated to the project. Those funds were specifically for a section of rail in the Central Valley, from Merced to Bakersfield.
We're going to look at whether California high-speed rail has actually complied with the agreements that they've signed with the federal government. And we can't just say we're going to give money and then not hold states accountable to how they spend that money.
California State Senator Dave Cortese chairs the Transportation Committee and responded to the call for a compliance review.
We welcome that scrutiny. We're in complete compliance with all of the federal funding agreements. Most of this project has been financed by the state of California, not the federal government.
State Senator Jim Costa.
Those of you in California must feel really good about that, right? Your taxpayers' dollars are going to the 220-mile-an-hour train to nowhere.
Fresno pointed out this.
The delays and the cost overruns have been a direct result of people who wanted to kill the project, who have
Blame others, blame others, blame others, blame anybody else other than yourself. You know what? This is a boondoggle of a project. I get that. I take responsibility. But here's how we're going to go moving forward. Instead, people suing us.
litigated the project, who have delayed the project.
Could you imagine Trump with all of his projects if he just said, you know what? People have been suing me. I give up. No, that's not what you do, right? You get your project back on track and you finish it under budget, not over budget by $100 billion with no end in sight of construction.
That have added additional costs. So let's be clear about that.
The High-Speed Rail Authority says there's a lot of construction underway in the Central Valley, more than 170 miles. They also say the project has created more than 14,000 jobs. The authority...
I'm not questioning the number of jobs. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where, the saying is the fastest way to get yourself out of an enormous hole is to stop digging. is to stop digging. Stop digging that damn hole, making it bigger, because that's what California's doing at the moment. And so, yeah, in order to get that hole dug, you're going to need all those jobs, but is it going to work in the end? I mean, it's certainly not going to work anytime soon, right? I mean, this is just a wild, out of control project.
CEO pointed out in a statement, quote, "We welcome this investigation and the opportunity
to
work with our
I bet.
partners."
Oh, yeah. Because we need your money.
Audits completed, every dollar is accounted for, and we stand by the progress and impact of this project. To the LA Times, about $13 billion has already been spent on the high-speed rail project. The budget's about $100 billion more than what High-Speed Rail Authority originally estimated.
See how quickly we just kind of scoot over that whole factor? It's about $100 billion over. And that's why Trump is like, what? $100 billion? Could you imagine with a private project going $100 billion? No, you can't, because it's never been done. And that's just not a thing. $100 billion. $100 billion over. Taxpayers. Let's go ahead and fund this bad boy. I love this project. I really do, because it is just so out of control. It's so out of control that you just sit back, and talk about watching a train wreck. But it's never, the train wreck is it's never going to go. I will be an old man by the time this is finished. Guaranteed. Because this was supposed to have been started when? 2008, I think? 2008. Here we are, 17 years later. Supposed to be done in 2020. Things are not looking good. But hey, we're on budget. We're all in compliance. Trump administration said Wednesday there's no viable path forward, none, for California's high-speed rail project, and warned it may rescind $4 billion in government funding in the coming weeks. We're going to take that back. That $4 billion that Biden gave you. U.S. Department of Transportation Department released a 315-page report from the Federal Railroad Administration, cited missed deadlines, budget shortfalls, and questionable ridership projections. I mean, we haven't even really touched on that. Hey, are enough people going to ride this and pay that it's, a economically viable project? Is that going to happen? Are we just making numbers up? That's one of the things, right? I mean, it's just one of so many elements here that you're like, what? You do what? What is going? How far along down the road are we? It hasn't connected anything. One key issue, California has not identified $7 billion in additional funding needed to build an initial segment between Merced and Bakersfield, California. Now, I know a lot of people are like, nobody wants to ride that section. No, they don't. But to me, it's one of those middle sections, and it's probably easier section to get built. The eminent domain process to take the land that you need to, basically taking people's property for the greater good of, arguable greater good of the community, for the state. I mean, if this thing actually were to be built, it would be pretty cool. I mean, I don't think anybody, hey, I want to go from San Francisco down to LA, or maybe from San Fran down to San Diego and ride in style 220 miles an hour. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? I mean, yeah, you do that. But getting it done, that's another thing, right? You need a Republican in there. You need a guy with a construction background. I wonder if there's any of those around. I don't know, right? U.S. Department of Transportation, you certainly don't want a Democrat running this bad boy, and unfortunately, that's who you got in California. U.S. Department of Transportation gave California until mid-July to respond, and then administration could terminate the grants. Yeah, so they need an additional $7 billion, I think, by the summer of 2026. So you got a bunch of these timelines coming up, and things are not looking good on this project. They are not looking good. Trump said last month the U.S. government would not pay for the project. He has said it's basically a boondoggle, and he said it's wildly over budget and just completely mismanaged. So, yeah, that is his opinion. He is entitled to his opinion, but he is the leader of the free world, and he does have a little control over those running, I don't know, the entities that are going to dole out all this money. FRA report Wednesday said California had conned the taxpayer out of its $4 billion investment with no viable plan to deliver even that partial segment on time, Merced to Bakersfield. California high-speed rail system is planned two-phase 800-mile system with speeds up to 220 miles per hour. Yeah, that'd be cool, right? It would be cool. It would be cool. But getting there from, that's a great idea to, hey, let's build it. Let's raise funding. Let's do it. Let's look at the logistics. We're just going to build it. Yeah, and that's kind of what they've done. And it's taken forever, and it's a massive project. So maybe they should have said up front, yeah, you know what? It's going to take us 45 years to build. And you know what the current constituents would have said? Yeah, we're not even going to be alive then. So F that. We're not going to fund that. We're not going to vote for funding for that. Speeds up to 220 miles per hour that aims to connect San Fran to LA, Anaheim, and in the second phase, Sacramento south to San Diego. Voters approved $10 billion for the project in 2008, but the costs have risen sharply. What a shocker. Transportation Department under former President Biden awarded the project about $4 billion. Now, here's a construction news and review. I go to a lot of obscure websites because they've got the actual information that I need, like some of the really boring stuff. I mean, nobody, goes to bed at night. I'm going to get some really good reading in tonight. I'm going to go read the construction news and review because, good Lord, there's some fantastic stuff there. But this one's, because you get little tidbits, though, of stuff that's really important. Federal Railroad report shows $6.9 billion spent on California high-speed rail without a single track laid. None. Zero. None. You know what we're going to focus on here? So I promised the American people we would be good stewards of their hard-earned tax dollars. This report exposes a cold, hard truth. CHSRA, that's the California whatever entity responsible for building this, has no viable path to complete this project on time or on budget. CHSRA is on notice, said Sean Duffy. If it can't deliver on its end of the deal, it could soon be time for these funds to flow to other projects. Quickest way to get yourself out of that deep hole you dug? Stop digging. Our country deserves high-speed rail that makes us proud, not boondoggle trains to nowhere. Oh, I love it. Boondoggle trains to nowhere. Mainstream media isn't going to, they're not going to focus on that. But to me, that is the absolute essence of this project. It's an enormous boondoggle. Just the absolute basics of this bad boy are so mind-blowing from the standpoint of you're over budget how much? Now, how could you be over budget that much? And I don't care. Every big project has contingencies for lawsuits. Hey, we're going to get sued. That is not something new. It's just not something new. You build something big enough, you're going to step on some toes and you're going to have litigation. How many lawsuits has any big developer been through? Multiple. Dozens. Even if you're a small business owner, you're going to get sued at some point in time. You're going to have that ridiculous, server come to your office. Are you Sean Reynolds? Yes, I am. All right, I've got some paperwork here for you. Need you to sign for it. And you're like, F me again. You know what I mean? People sue you for ridiculous stuff. Sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes you're like, this is silly. But on a big project like this, where billions of dollars are involved, and you haven't done a damn thing as far as complete any of it, there's going to be questions. There's going to be issues. In private sector construction, yeah, you would have lost your funding for this one. You would have lost your funding. Let's see. What was your bid for this bad boy? And then how far into it are we? 13 billion? Should be done, right? I mean, how close are we to being done? You haven't laid a single track, but you got the plans together. Oh, okay. I see. plans that may or may not take place, and you've got most of the land roughly assembled. Is that correct? My understanding, I'm being told by the folks that are running this project, that is true. You've got most of the land assembled. We got a lot of people building it. Yeah, I bet you do, because it's a massive project. Whether or not that's viable, that is the consideration, right? 14,000 jobs, 15,000 jobs. Okay, all right, but doesn't make sense. Everything I've seen on this one, it doesn't lead me to believe, okay, or just being impatient. You got some cost overruns. You know, some things came down the pike, some things came down the track that were unforeseen, and we had some obstacles to overcome, and we just need to hang in there and be patient, and, we'll be blessed with a high-speed train going from somewhere to somewhere. But that's not what I'm seeing. That's not what I'm reading. That's not everything that I'm hearing. Everything I'm hearing is this is a absolute, literal train wreck of a project. Show me otherwise. Show me some statistics that say otherwise. And I've read all the stuff. Just the boring details of, all right, this is where we're at, this is what's going on. And you're kind of you're left with, I'm left with, as a business owner, I'm left with, man, if I made some of these decisions, I'd be done. Be done. It's supposed to be done literally 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And you're how far along? Doesn't look good, does it? Any which way, the optics on this bad way, and that's what I always go back to. Doesn't really matter what reality is. And reality on this one is horrific. Doesn't really matter what reality is. What matters is the optics. And I think the optics on this one are almost as bad as reality, which is hard to do, on some of these things. You're like, okay, yeah, it just doesn't seem quite that bad. This one seems bad. So I think a lot of taxpayers are going to go, yeah, that's not something we should be spending any more money on. And then what happens? So what happens to this project if they don't get their funding? They're going to have to go to Californians and say, hey, we got a bond. We've got some financing that we'd like you to finance that we need your money for. We've got a bond for you. Oh, I hope you have tremendous appetite for what we're going to offer you, returns, whatever it is. Because we need something, we need some more of your money. Trust us. This is the last time we're going to ask for any more money on this project. Right? How many layers of that are you going to do over the next 30 years? How long is it going to take to finish? Who knows? Is it ever going to get finished? I don't know. And then bottom line, what if it doesn't? Podcasts for days, weeks, months, years. Some are even saying decades and millenniums. Long time. You got a lot of stuff out there that's just not really going the way it should. Make sure you're subscribed because I talk about a lot of it. Hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.